Hey guys, in this video we're going to do a few different fraction things. We're going to do simplest form, common denominators, and changing mixed numbers to improper fractions. So even if you only missed one on the pretest, I still want to go through all of them to make sure you really got it. So the first thing for common denominators, okay? So really your common denominator is your LCM, your least common multiple. So it's the smallest number they both can go into. So, or both can become. So to find common denominators, okay, remember your numerator is your top number, your denominator is your bottom. First, you're going to find your, let me get a cute color. We're going to go with blue. So first, you're going to find your LCM for the two denominators. Then you're going to make equivalent fractions. Hopefully you remember equivalent fractions using your LCM as your denominator. So let's look at 2/3 and 1/6. So first we're going to start with thirds and 6. Remember we're talking about the denominators. So we need to list our multiples for 3 and 6. We got 3, 6, 9. You could keep going, 12. So 6, 12, 18. So my LCM is 6. 12 is a common multiple. But we want to really try to find the least common multiple because it'll make it a lot easier on us so the numbers won't be as big. So again, you could technically change it to 12, but we want to practice doing the least common. Plus, it helps us practice our LCM. So our common denominator is 6. So notice, I have already here filled in for you 2/3. Remember that dot means multiply. And what does 2/2 equal? 2/2 equals 1 whole, because we're really making equivalent fractions. So 2/3 is going to equal this other fraction. So the reason we picked 2 is 3 times 2 gives us 6. So whatever you do to the bottom, you've got to do to the top, because remember, we got to multiply it by 1 because they need to be equal. Remember, anything times 1 is that same number. So then 2 times 2 gives us 4. So 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. Then let's do 1/6. Well, we want to get from 6 to 6. So all we're going to do is multiply it by 1. Whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So our denominator stays the same. So getting common denominators for 2/3 and 1/6 become 4/6 and 1/6. Again, sometimes you may not have to change both. On the next one, you are going to have to change both. So make sure you're getting common denominators. So here we go, 4/5 and 1/2. So we're going to find our LCM for 5 and 2. So 5, 10, 15, 20. Here we go for 2's, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Ding, 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 we've got 10. If you're thinking, Miss Townsend, I think 20 works, that is correct. 20 is a common denominator, but it is not the least common denominator. So remember, we want to change both denominators to become 10. So 5 times what gives me 10? Times 2. Whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So times 2 on top. 4 times 2 gives me 8. 2 times what gives me 10? 2 times 5. Whatever you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So 2 times 5 is 10. 1 times 5 is 5. So 4/5 equals 8/10. 1/2 equals 5/10. Remember, we want to get the same denominator. That'll help us with what we're doing next week. So go ahead and try these two. Pause the video, try these two, and then come back and watch and see if you got it the same. So for 4 and 12, we're going to have 4, 8, 12. For 12, we're going to start with 12. 24. Again, 24 would work, but 12 is our least common multiple. So 3/4 times what equals something with the denominator of 12. And then 5/12 times what equals something with the denominator of 12. Well, I know that one's going to be the same. So I'm going to multiply it by 1/1, which just gives me 5/12. So that one stays the same. That one's easy. So 4 times what gives me 12? 4 times 3. And then whatever you do to the bottom, you do to the top. So 3 times 3 equals 9. So 9/12 and 5/12. So we change them to have a common denominator. So this one looks a little different because it's got the whole number. Really, it's not any different. You just got to keep that whole number out in front of it. So our common denominators are 4 and 6. So here we go, 4, 8, 12. 6 and 12. So our common denominator is 12. So we have 2 1/4. We're just going to change the fraction part. Denominators of 12. I'm going to do this one below. 5 6 times what gives me a denominator of 12. So 4 times 3 is 12, and 1 times 3 is 3, so we've got 3/12. So 2 3/12. 6 times 2 is 12. 5 times 2 is 10. Now we have 2 3/12 and 10/12. Remember, we want to get them with a common denominator. Let's look at this next section. So we want to make our fractions in simplest form. So basically that means you're taking the numerator and denominator and getting them to be as small as possible by dividing by the same number, okay? When we divide by the same number, really we're going to divide the numerator and denominator by the greatest common factor, your GCF. So those factor tables, the T-charts, are not going away today. So we've got our two numbers. We've got 8 and we've got 12. So I'm going to do my charts for both. So 1 and 8, 2 and 4, 12, 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. Make sure you're filling this in. If you need to pause it, if I'm going too fast, just pause it. And our GCF here is 4. So we're going to divide by 4 over 4. So remember before when I said we could multiply a numerator over itself, that you can do the same thing here. You can divide it by the same number over itself, which again is 1. So you're taking 8/12, dividing it by 1, and getting a different fraction that is still equivalent, meaning they're equal. So 8 divided by 4 gives me 2. 12 divided by 4 gives me 3. So my simplified version is 2/3. Okay, let's do 15 and 40. So 15, we got 1 and 15, 3 and 5. 40, we got 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4 and 10, 5 and 8. So my common denominator, GCF, is 5. So we're going to divide by 5 over 5. So 15 divided by 5 gives me 3. 40 divided by 5 gives me 8. So the simplified version is 3/8. Go ahead and try both of these. Notice the first one has a 5 in front of it. Really, it's just going to be 5, and then you're going to simplify the 6 over 22. So go ahead and try all 4 of those, and then come back to check it. So here we go with our factors for 6 and 22. 1 and 6, 2 and 3, 1 and 22, 2 and 11. So our GCF is 2. So we're going to divide this fraction by 2 over 2. Gives us 5 whole again. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 22 divided by 2 gives me 11. So simplified version is 5 3/11. Let's do 9 and 36. We've done 36 a bunch, so hopefully you remember those factors. So 1 and 9, 3 and 3, 1 and 36, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, and 6 and 6. I keep forgetting the 6 and 6, so we got to remember that one. Okay, our GCF is 3. So we're going to divide our numerator and our denominator by 3 over 3. And I get 3. Oh, our GCF is not 3. I messed up. Oh, man. It's not 3. It's 9. Our GCF is 9. That makes way more sense, right? Because I was just starting to realize that actually that one doesn't get as small as we want it to be. So we need to divide it by 9 over 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. 36 divided by 9 is 4. And if you're not sure, remember it's right here. 9 times 4 is 36. Okay, here we go. 12 and 16. So 12 is 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4. 16 is 1 and 16, 2 and 8, 4 and 4. So our GCF is 4. So we're going to divide by 4 over 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 16 divided by 4 is 4. So the simplified version is 3/4. So 7's easy because 7's prime. So 1 and 7, that's easy. And then 49 is 1 and 49 and 7 and 7. So our GCF is 7. So we're going to divide it by 7 over 7, which gives us 1 over 7. So 7/49 simplifies to 1/7. So let's flip our paper over and let's do the back. So now we're going to change from mixed numbers to improper fractions and improper fractions to mixed numbers. Hopefully this is a big review for you, but I want to go over it just to make sure that everybody's got it. So first, when you're going from a mixed number to an improper fraction, you multiply the whole number by the denominator, and then add that product to the numerator. So I always say you kind of cartwheel, you multiply, and then you add. Someone else has said in the past, cartwheel just because you kind of go around. Someone else said you make it mad. So you multiply, you add, and then you keep the denominator. Either way helps, okay? So what you're going to end up doing is 5 times 3 plus 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus 2 gives me 17, and your denominator stays the same. So remember, this is improper. Your bigger number is going to be on top. You're taking a mixed number with a whole number and a fraction. So like 5 is the whole number, 2/3 is your fraction, and you're making it improper where the numerator is bigger than the denominator. So 7 2/5, you're going to cartwheel or make it mad. So you're going to do 7 times 5 plus 2. 7 times 5 is 35. Plus 2 gives me 36. No, it should be 37 over 5. Yep, because 7 times 5 is 35, 36, 37. Okay, so for the next one, we're going to divide the numerator by the denominator. So I always say you back bend or you cartwheel. So really what you do is 18 divided by 4. So 18 goes in the house, it's your dividend, divided by 4, goes in 0 times, 1 left over. How many times does 4 go into 18? That's 4 times. 4 times 4 is 16 with 2 left over. The whole number is going to be your 4. The remainder is your numerator, and then your denominator is 4. We need to simplify that and divide it by 2 over 2, so we get 4 1/2. So for this next one, we've got 20 divided by 5. So 20 is going to go in the house, our dividend, divided by 5. 5 goes into 20 4 times with 0 left over. So this one's not going to end up being a mixed number. It's just the whole number 4. Okay. Go ahead and do these ones and convert them in practice. Going from the mixed number to the improper fraction, and then going from the improper fraction to the mixed number, and then come back and watch the video to check it. So here we go for this one. We're going to do 9 times 6 plus 1. 9 times 6 gets you 54, plus 1 gets you 55. And our denominator stays the same of 6, so 55 6. For this next one, it's going to be 5 times 5 plus 2, so 25 plus 2 gives you 27 over 5. Over 5, 27 fifths. So then this one we got to do 20 divided by 3, goes in 0 times. 6 goes into 20 6 times with 2 left over. So our answer is 6 whole with 2/3 as your fraction. Remember, the remainder is your numerator and the divisor is your denominator. 24 divided by 6 goes in evenly, so we know it's going to be a whole number. 6 times 4 is 24. So our answer is just the whole number 4. Please make sure you take a picture of the notes front and back, and then go ahead and choose your practice.